escaped all this and you're somewhere else, or if you're just hiding at home, either way, we really appreciate having you with us. Today, I have a very special guest, Lauren. She will tell you more about what she does. She's a local entrepreneur that has a spa that I love, that I ran to when I found out all this was happening, because I knew that the most important thing was to protect my body and to build up my immune system since I had been sick recently. I'm going to bring her on. So if anyone has any questions, please drop them in the comments for she or for her or for myself. And without further ado, I will introduce oh no, what did I do? I think I deleted her. Hang on, we're working on it. Show.
Right.
Okay, that should work. There we go. Hello, Lauren.
How's it going?
Welcome to our Elite OC chats. We like to do these in person, but lately that's not an option. So here we are, but we appreciate your time and joining us. And I know I'm personally a little stressed today, and this couldn't have better timing, because today we're going to talk about how to deal with stress and anxiety and basically like surviving this social solidarity, which I prefer that term so much more than the social distancing. It just sounds so much nicer and less prison-like. And that's really what we're doing, is showing solidarity for, those that are much more like compromised and their immune systems are compromised. So how are you doing? How has your business pivoted with all of this? What are your tips for us? Talk to us.
Okay. Yeah, my business
first, because I think that's just great.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I own a wellness center in Linwood, New Jersey. I don't know like where all of our guests are from, but just Jersey.
Yeah.
So we're a wellness spa, a wellness center. We have a few different things in there that are like grade 2 medical equipment. So there are things that we are currently offering that are essential, but business is very slow currently because a lot of people are, respecting the boundaries and practicing social solidarity and not doing things that aren't absolutely essential for them. But I do encourage people to continue to come because we do practice social solidarity, or like, with but we have, so one of our biggest things that we do, we offer colon hydrotherapy. It's a really amazing way to help boost your gut health, which is the best way to boost your immune system and just overall protect your body, from different pathogens and viruses. And it's so huge with what's going on right now. And then we have the infrared sauna, which is really amazing for boosting the immune system, getting toxins out. It actually reduces symptoms of depression up to 50%, which is another really awesome thing. A lot of people are struggling with just that mental health, emotional well-being piece that's going on right now. I think that like anyone that says that they're not is definitely underestimating their truth. They are not in touch with their truth because we all have different pieces of it. This is a total shift, for all of us, whether even people who are still working,
I think that's even more nerve-wracking sometimes because they're actually out in public and putting themselves at risk. That's even.
Yep. And a lot of people who are still working, like they're in jobs that are essential, and they're working so much harder now than they were before. So like for them, their lives are like, if life wasn't stressful before, now it's even more, because not only are they doing the same things that they were doing before, but now they're in an environment that could potentially be scary for them. And they're dealing with people who are afraid and probably giving attitude, and their workload is more than it was before. So the infrared sauna is really helpful for that. And then
The Sunshine Booth.
Yeah, my vitamin D
I
bed.
love that thing.
It's not a tanning bed, it looks like a tanning bed, but
Mhm.
you actually get a full dose of vitamin D in there, which, supports all of those, feel-good hormones in our body. It helps enhance them, it makes our body produce them, so again, reducing symptoms of, like, depression and just boosting our immune system. Yeah, so and those are all self-serve,
Mhm.
services that we offer, so you
Yeah,
can
I was probably one of your last clients before the whole world broke down and went into hiding, 'cause that
Yeah,
was my first I was like, "What can I do to build my immune system
yep,
before, just God forbid," you know?
yeah. Um, so that's a little gist of what we do. I recommend if you have someplace nearby you that offers any of those services and is currently open, doing what you can to get in there, and try to do some of that stuff for yourself. I do nutritional coaching, but that is all online now. So one of the biggest things that I'm recommending to people is
Mhm.
that they get a really good probiotic. If they aren't already taking a probiotic, that they start taking a probiotic. Every human being should take one, especially if you're an American. Like, we all eat processed food, like we're all getting stuff in our body that our body has a hard time digesting and getting out. So the probiotic just helps, just keep our gut health, at an extra level of super strong. um,
No one thinks about that really. So what makes one good or not good? Just so people are aware.
I am home and my
Me
dog is
too.
barking. Give me one
If
second.
my dog hears your dog, we're in trouble.
Sorry.
My
Um,
dog's sleeping, so we're safe.
yeah, so um, sorry, it might be a little bit noisy for a second, and I apologize, and I'm sure that everyone is super understanding of that right now because we're
I
all just not
know.
in normal circumstances.
Nothing's normal. This is like new I keep calling it new world, like, order, because that's like
Yeah,
new world yoga is online in my hallway at 6 a.m.
yeah, we went.
That really does help my stress.
Yeah, my husband and I this morning, we went and worked out in a parking lot. It was so weird. Like, it's right around the corner from our house, and we
Right.
felt like we needed to be outside. So we're like
Yeah.
back, like in this parking lot, like working out. And I'm like, are we allowed to be out here right now? I'm like, of course. Like, people are walking their dogs and stuff. Like, we
Are we
have
allowed to be outside?
so weird. Um, but you asked about the probiotic. So
Mhm.
a good probiotic will have um, many different strands the pre and probiotic sources come from. A good probiotic will also have prebiotics in it. It A lot of probiotics don't have prebiotics in them as well. And if you're only putting probiotics in your body and not putting prebiotics in it, then you're not balancing out your microbiome. And
Mhm.
it's almost like I feel like this is a strong way to put it, but it's almost pointless to
Right.
use a probiotic that doesn't have a prebiotic in it because you're not feeding those probiotics what they need to sustain life.
Oh.
A good probiotic will also be acid resistant. So the one that I use, it's in a um, like a vegan gel capsule that's
Mhm.
designed to withstand your stomach acids. It actually doesn't break open until it passes through your stomach, so that your intestines can actually, like, those prebiotics get absorbed right into your intestines. A lot of prebiotics are not acid resistant, so when they hit your stomach acids, they die and then they just pass through your body as waste.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's a lot of other things, like just how many, billions of colonies it has in it. Is it naturally
Right.
sourced or is it synthetic? So those are, just different pieces to be aware of when picking. Another thing is like how, I mean, I just think about different things that sit on the shelves forever, and I'm like, there's no way that that's doing anything for anyone. So,
Right. They've been sitting there for 10 years and it can't
but,
because it's alive, right? It's like the cultures are alive and that's what you want.
yep. So, those are just different things. And then, getting a really good source of vitamin C in you right now. There's a lot of talk about vitamin C being helpful in treating people who have coronavirus, but we also know that, whether you get the coronavirus or not, vitamin C is something. I even hate saying that word like that. I hate like saying
I know.
coronavirus.
I try not to say it because I feel like saying it gives it power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, dirty. But whether you get sick with anything or not, taking a good source of vitamin C is amazing for boosting your immune system, helping your body naturally fight things off so that you don't get sick. And
I've been pumping in the vitamin C. I have this like 2,500 milligrams per half teaspoon
yeah.
of vitamin C, and it's intense, but I don't care. I'm like pumping it. That's all. That's been my number one goal, is just filling myself with vitamins.
Yep, that's it. So that's a little bit on the nutrition side, on the wellness side of it. I
Right.
think that, you and I had a conversation yesterday about the whole mental health piece of it.
Mhm.
And I think for like the majority of us who are kind of in our houses, and it's like we're watching this thing almost like from the outside, right? Like we're seeing all these different people who are affected by it, and we're like, I mean, physically affected by it, and we're hoping that we don't become one of those, like we're trying to do whatever we can to protect ourselves physically from it, right? Following the guidelines, doing all these different things to try to boost our immune system. So taking the physical measures to protect ourselves and boost our immune system and whatever, but we are all being affected by this mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and like all of us to different degrees and different levels, because we all have different circumstances that we're under. So I think that
the people with the children, I mean, I just can't even imagine. I can't imagine having to be a teacher on top of the stress I'm already under. So ladies that are doing, and guys too, I mean, I see they're taking turns, like one parent gets them in the morning and then the other parent does it in the afternoons, because they both have jobs that they need to get done. And I have a bunch of single mom friends who are just pulling out their hair because they need to do their job. They're working from home, which they don't usually do. And they're now teaching 2, 3, however many kids, stuff that they are not accustomed to teaching. It's a lot.
Yeah. I know. I was joking with my husband about that the other day. He's like, there's no way that like the math that they're sending home with these kids is the math they actually do in school, because they're making it harder. And I'm like, no, dude, like we forget stuff that like we haven't used in a long time. I'm like, I'm like,
especially math.
So crazy. It's so true. If you don't use it, you lose it. So to all the
if you ever even had it, I never even got, like, it took a lot for me to graduate like my math classes, because I was really like, it's funny how they put you in honors for like English and math, even though they use different parts of your brain. It's like, I was really good at English, and I'm really good at math if it's like money math, I can calculate things in my head, but once you have to start memorizing all the stuff, like algebra was just beyond me.
Yeah.
So what do you do to keep yourself mentally stabilized at best, and elevated,
Is that allowed? Are you hearing a loud noise from me over here? I got construction going on outside of my house too. So if you hear any weird noises, there's that also.
Yeah.
So I have like a list. So I also do life coaching. That's actually what my degree is in. I went to school for counseling and did like a certification course through my college in life coaching, and used to have a life coaching practice. It was like my main gig.
Right.
So there's like a process of understanding what's going on. Like when you're experiencing stress and you're experiencing feelings of worry, doubt, fear, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, there's a process of like acknowledgement.
Yeah. Like your
So
chest is tightening.
yeah, yeah.
That's what mine feels like.
Yep. And so I think that, the first thing I like to start with is you have to understand
Mhm,
and change your belief about what stress actually is.
mhm,
'Cause when you look at stress from the perspective of like, this is happening and I'm feeling this way about it,
mhm.
and you just go from there, um,
Right.
it kind of takes you down this rabbit hole. Is it a rabbit hole or bunny trail? Whatever. Same thing. Right?
Down the rabbit hole, I think, yes.
Okay. I used to say bunny hole, and someone was like, no.
Down the bunny trail or
Yeah, I'm like, if you keep going in the bunny hole, and they're like, that's not how that goes. But anyway, it takes you on this like spiral of thought, right? And
Yeah.
feeling that goes along with it. And then it just gets harder and harder the further you get into that to grab yourself and pull yourself out. So,
Because once it starts to become physical, it just rapidly propels
yeah,
down. Like, that's what happens for me, like, if I don't stop it, it starts my chest, and then, of course, now I start thinking I'm dying because of my chest is getting tighter, and I don't know, like, I'm not connecting the fact that it's my thoughts making my body feel that way, and if I
yeah,
keep going, I'll go into a full panic attack. I mean, and
yeah,
that's terrifying also.
yep. And then what happens is instead of acknowledging that like your thought about something or your perspective about something is what made you feel like that negative feeling, you go to this situation is making me feel negative. And it's almost like you take away your power, you take away your ability to control your thoughts and shift the way that you feel about a situation.
Right.
So coming back to say there's this super, super, super important key,
Yeah.
like that's right in the middle, this huge thing that connects one to the other, and it's us. It's us having control. And so I want to talk about like what you can do to bring that piece back to the focus, because it's the most important thing, but it's the thing that we always forget about. It's the thing that we always push to the side. And when you can actually come back, it's so empowering, it's freeing, it's relieving, it's like a breath of
Mhm.
fresh air. um, so one thing with that, I always tell people that belief, right? The things that we believe, like our core beliefs, right?
Mhm.
They are practice thoughts.
Yeah.
So when we continuously think about something the same way over
Mhm.
and over and over again, it forms a belief. It
Like,
forms a core
thinking in
value.
the same way. Yeah.
Yep. And then what happens is from there, that's what forms our actions. Like our actions come from our beliefs. Um, so becoming aware that, our beliefs, our feelings, or whatever, that, the things that we think about, the thoughts that we practice shape our beliefs. And when we shape, then those things shape our life because our actions, our decisions are based on our beliefs, right? So the whole thing is changing your belief about stress,
Right.
right? So I can give you like scientific stuff about stress. Maybe I'll do like a quick
Yeah.
like power lightning segment because I am a nerd. I do love to do a ton of research, and I have all of
It's technologist's power, you
yeah,
know?
I have all of that. I don't normally like in everyday conversation talk about it, but you know,
Right.
um, oh look, there's people saying hi. I can see it. Hi.
Yeah,
um,
people say hi. Yeah, you can there we go.
that's cool. I haven't seen this before, so this is fun.
Yeah. No, I love this, yeah. It
Yeah.
makes it so much easier to put it all together.
So I'll give you a quick little blip on science of stress, and I'll try not to make it too nerdy or like annoying for people who don't care about the science about it, because I
Right.
usually like to talk in layman's terms. But um, there is, I'll make it like a mix of both. So there is tons and tons and tons of proven research on how stress negatively affects our physical bodies, right?
Mhm.
So if you just Google like stress and negative effects on the body. You can find out so much stuff. But I'll just give you a couple little pieces. So stress affects your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your joints. It affects your skin. Like, how many people have you heard, like, oh, I'm breaking out because I'm so right? Like, we commonly know that it affects our gut health. You know, a lot of people get really upset stomach. They start developing severe digestive issues when they are under severe stress.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's so crazy. Like 70% of the cells that make up our immune system are in the walls of our intestines. So like when you're stressed and you're having all this negative effect on your gut, it's weakening your immune system.
Yeah.
Stress, like,
that's when you say like you're making yourself sick, like
yeah,
worried sick is really literal.
literal. Like, it's so literal. And these are just our thoughts, like our practice thoughts that have a physical effect on our body. So prolonged stress, it makes our body start releasing certain chemicals like cortisol, norepinephrine, adrenaline, and like long-term release of these chemicals in our body. They're good for certain things. Like adrenaline is important when you're in a situation that you need an extra measure of like strength to do something amazing.
Right. Fight or flight is adrenaline.
Yeah, and even like when you're working out and your body releases adrenaline to get you through the workout, it's having a positive effect on your body, but it's limited to like this certain time and space. So when you are allowing yourself to constantly dwell on stressful thoughts, you're allowing your body to continue to release these chemicals that are supposed to be good, but the long-term release of them isn't good. It starts affecting your thyroid function. And for women, that is like the worst thing that we can hear. Like, what? My thyroid? Don't mess with my thyroid.
Right, the thyroid means you're gaining weight rapidly. That's what I think of anyway.
I mean, seriously, you know, like it's like, no, don't do that. It affects our blood sugar levels. So like it creates imbalances in our blood sugar, which causes us to have chronic fatigue. It causes us to start eating. It makes us have cravings that we don't want to be having. Like, come on, ladies, these are things that we don't want. It impairs like our cognitive function. It depletes our immune system. So that's my layman term blip little piece of science on that. So we can all agree that having stress is something that we don't want to prolong, right? Like we all agree on that. We come to that belief, but actually switching your belief to like, okay, I know that I don't want to be stressed, but I don't have any control over it, to saying, okay, I'm going to acknowledge stress as me just having certain thoughts that I need to change, right?
Right. It's not the situation causing it, it's your reaction to the current situation.
Yep. So my personal belief, I always tell people that you have to let feelings of stress, fear, worry, doubt, negative thoughts, instead of taking that key out of the center and just letting it run wild, you have to plug back in and just say, me having feelings of, you know, stress or whatever, it is based on my practice beliefs. It's based on my practice thoughts. It's based on a perspective that I have chosen to believe. And, you know, I like to tell people, like, I believe this myself, that, you know, beliefs of fear, doubt, worry, they're indicators to me. Like, I take that as an indicator that my thoughts are misaligned from universal truth. My thoughts are misaligned from like the thoughts of God. Like that's my base belief. And so I have to take it back and say, okay, what am I not seeing here? Or how can I shift my perspective to see this from a perspective of everything is always working out for me? Right? Like, that's like a mantra that I live by. It's like everything is always happening for my personal betterment, for the betterment of those around us. And even though certain situations at the forefront might seem to be negative, the truth is that this is a piece of the puzzle that is creating something bigger, right? Like, you
can't even see the puzzle. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't. I mean, sometimes it's like, I've always wanted to have this certain career and I'm working a job that I hate that makes me miserable, whatever,
Mhm.
but it's paying the bills and, you know,
Right.
6 months down the line, a position in my dream career might be open up that I would never look at if I was working in this terrible job. And then I get fired from my job. So I have two options. I can say, I'm
Mhm.
going to take this time to press into me applying to every single dream job position that I wanted to have.
Mhm.
Or I can just be like, oh my gosh, this job was paying my bills. Like now I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. Like there's always two different ways that we can go
Right.
about it.
Right.
Right.
Is it an opportunity or is it a defeat?
Yeah.
These are the different ways.
Yep. So those are always and there like I don't want to take out the piece of there are inevitable traumas that we experience in life, death, sickness, illness, disease, whatever. There are things that we experience that are hard, they're painful, and we can't like
Unavoidable. Yeah.
yeah, like we can't just be like, I'm happy that my mom just passed
Well,
away.
this is an opportunity for me to see like what.
Right, right. So it's just, there's certain things that you have to allow yourself like a grieving process, but just understanding that like I'm allowing myself to
Mhm.
go and also grow
Right.
through this,
Right.
'cause I feel like if you ever experience anything that's painful and hard and it doesn't make you better, like you missed out on an amazing opportunity.
Right.
Um,
You have to
so
go through it too, and I think that's so valid too. Like you can't just stuff it away or bury it or drink it through it. Like doing all those things from experience, I've learned this. They're still there. When you bury them and try to disregard them, or just however your means are of avoiding things and feelings, those things just still are in you and they become toxic.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the choice that you have to say, like, you have to switch your belief about stress
Right.
and know that just because something is making me feel stressed out, just because something is making me feel worried, just because something is making me feel whatever negative feeling that you're feeling about it, it doesn't mean that that thing is actually a bad thing. It just means that I have chosen to have a perspective of fear,
Yeah.
doubt, worry about it. So
And
I'm
even change that sentence to this thing is, I'm reacting this way to this thing. That's my choice. I can change that.
yeah,
Like it
yep,
doesn't have power. I'm giving it power.
yep, exactly. So it's like you have to first have the core belief of that, of like, I'm the one who gets to choose, right?
Mhm.
So like always being able to come back to that core belief of like, I choose whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, you
Mhm.
know? And so then what happens when you choose that and you practice that belief of I have the power, I get to decide, how my life is going to affect me. Then
Mhm.
what happens is when you start getting faced with different things that are stressful, you can learn to let them become triggers to start becoming intentional about how you're focusing on it. So just because something happens and your initial response is like, "Oh my gosh, what now? Like we just lost
Oh,
this thing," or you know, like initial responses are okay, but it's like, what do you immediately do then thereafter? Like, do you say, okay, so my life is ruined? Or do you
Mhm.
say, okay, so how is this playing out in my benefit? Do you start going through the best case scenarios or do you start going through the worst case scenarios? Because your mind is going to do one of two. Your mind is going to take you on a bunny hole. See? It's gonna
On
take,
a hunt.
your mind is gonna spiral. Like it's just what our minds do. There are these beautiful, amazing, creative gifts that we have, and they're gonna spiral in one way or the other. But we get to
Mhm.
choose whether or not we say like, "Oh my gosh, this like global pandemic is happening. The economy is crashing. I lost my job. I'm not going to be able to feed myself. There's no food in the grocery store. Like, I'm going to starve to death in my house alone." Like,
Mhm.
are you going down that way? Or are you going to go into another direction of saying, like, wow, I mean, come on, everyone who lives in the Northeast, seriously, we we are so overworked, right? How many of us are constantly like, I just need a break, I need a vacation, I need to stop because we work so hard, right? I mean, that is the first thing that I'm just like, you guys, we all get to hang out at home and Netflix and chill. Like,
Not everyone, but some, yeah.
I mean,
There's
yeah,
not teachers anymore.
exactly. But I mean, there's so many different ways that you can look at it. I had
Time with family, like people are just getting to know their spouses again, and that may be good or bad in your situation, but ultimately it can be a gift and a blessing. And I've seen so many, and that's kind of like what made me start this, is like, okay, I want to show people that have taken this and turned it into a blessing. Like, how did you make this into a positive thing? Like, how have you shifted your business or shifted your goals, and pivoted your business in order to grow here instead of like wilting away? Because it really is the time when you go through the fires when they find out where the gold is, the diamonds are. And it really is amazing.
Totally, 1000% agree with you. I have like different things that I have done. I struggled for a long time with anxiety, not necessarily depression, but like severe anxiety, like having panic attacks and stuff. And I made it my mission to figure out how to reverse that, stop that, control that, all of those things. So I went through a period of time in my life where I was so physically stressed out, and it was like I was literally clawing like at the walls of my mind to find any piece of sanity that I could. And so
exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
So I created like lists, like a list of my go-tos for whenever I start feeling like any pieces of that like welling up inside of me, right? Like I have different things.
Escape yourself and
Yeah, and I'm just saying, man, there was like times in my life where this whole list of things was an everyday practice, and even like multiple times a day. Like I was like, this is literally survival for me right now, And it's awesome to have gone through that, because now I feel like I'm in such a way, I have like way higher stressor things in my life. And because I went through that when I did, and I have the practices that I have, it's something that I can always go back to. And at the very beginning, at the very onset of that stress, I can go in and practice these things, right?
Yeah. I'm reading a book about that too, and he calls it the first thought. Like, you have to catch that first thought and hold it captive, and that's what we're called to do. Like hold our thoughts captive. And it's just all about that one first thought, because like your first thought is unintentional. It's a lot of times reactive, emotionally driven. Emotionally driven can change with like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten yet today, so my emotions are all over the place. So anything can affect your emotions. But he really talked about, it was Neil Anderson, and he talks about taking that first thought. Like the first thought is unintentional, but the second thought is intentional, and you need to make sure that you divide that line, that you don't just go into the deeply treaded pattern of thought that you've taught yourself over time, or that your environment taught you over time.
Yeah.
But that you can do that. Okay, so here's the list.
Okay. So now these things here are not, it's like you got to find what fits into your current lifestyle, right? Because sometimes you can't just get up and do certain things on the list, right? But these are things that, have really worked for me. So the very first thing, like, piggybacking off of what you just said, even to be able to do these things on the list, you have to come from that place of, I'm choosing my next thoughts. I'm choosing my perspective. I'm choosing to make the shift. And these things are like when you're having a hard time with that. So one thing that I say all the time that I practice is, shoot, what the heck? I just had like a
being live on Facebook has that effect on me. Like all my thoughts just clear out instantly.
What the heck? Oh, okay, I got it. So sometimes the best thing that you can do to solve a problem is to ignore it. So it sounds like totally crooked and
Mhm.
not like how we were taught to be productive and everything. But honestly, some of the most successful people teach on this.
Mhm.
When you have a serious problem that you're facing, sometimes the best thing to do is to get up and literally walk away from it for a period of time to clear your mind, refresh yourself, and then come back to it. So
I literally have to walk out of my house around the block. I did that about 20 minutes ago.
yeah,
I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and stress. I need to get out of my head and go run. Like some days I
yeah,
have to literally run.
yep. I joke around. I'm like, I'm running away from my problems.
Yes, literally. I just need them out. Like,
But it's yeah, totally so effective.
mhm,
So acknowledging that you're taking control of changing your thoughts,
right.
acknowledging that it's okay to stop thinking about the problem for a moment in order to reset, heal yourself, let those like feelings of stress calm down and your emotions to become aligned and your thoughts to become more aligned with, the positive side. So the first
Social
thing,
media, I have to like limit myself because
yeah,
otherwise it's like, especially lately with this whole thing happening, like that's all you're reading. And I'm just like, especially at night, like I have to stop doing this to myself.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
having horrible dreams. I'm stressing in my sleep because I'm looking at this stuff before bed.
Oh my gosh, you're like mentally programming yourself to like,
I know. Like, oh, you
okay,
don't
so
have to stress. Here's some more just like, programming it in.
yeah, yep. So the first thing I have is take a walk, right?
Yeah.
We were just saying that. So if
Without your phone. Yeah.
even if it's just walking out your front door or taking a step outside from work or whatever, just
Mhm.
getting outside, breathing in some fresh air, choosing to like not let thoughts come in about whatever the situation was, right? So take a walk. Um, I had this little practice where I look at different things and I say that they're my favorite, right? So, and even if it's not, like I literally have a tree outside of my house that has these, like it's such a cute tree. Like I love the trunk, whatever, but I literally will like look at the tree and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite tree. And
Yeah.
like that, like there's a million other trees like that, but it just gives me such a positive feeling to say that it's like my favorite, right? If I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite desk. Like it just gives me a sense of appreciation, a sense of gratitude. So doing that, looking at something, saying
It's a
that it's
little
your favorite,
dopamine hit, right? Like
yeah, a little, yep, exactly. My dog, you are my favorite dog. Like,
my
so,
dog really is my therapy animal. Like
yeah,
I don't know how she does it.
yep,
Another thing that I heard once was that your brain doesn't know the difference between a memory and like what's actually happening. So if you continue thinking about bad things that did happen or that are happening, like your brain releases the same chemicals, whether it's an actual emotional experience you're having at that time or something that you're just rehashing in your mind.
yep, exactly.
And the chemicals react accordingly, right?
Yep, 100%. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. Um, so another thing that I have on here is write a list of things that you're thankful for. I do this as a like morning and evening ritual. Every morning, one of the first things I do is I write a list of 3 things that I'm thankful for, and I
Yeah.
do the same thing every night. So it helps me to like program myself to be in that constant state of gratitude. But also,
Mhm.
if I start to get those feelings throughout the day of stress or whatever,
Mhm.
or fear, worry, I will literally like grab a piece of paper and just write out 3 things that I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
And something so simple, like no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, whether you are, working as a cashier at Acme or whether you're working at home on your computer, like you can
Mhm.
grab a piece of paper and quick, like just write out like 3 things that you're thankful for. Um,
Yeah.
so
It's
that's a
good.
little thing that you can do here and there, but it's really good to add to like a morning and an evening ritual. I write out and recite mantras. So like I said earlier, my favorite mantra is everything is always working out for me. Um,
Mhm.
it is a core belief of mine that I have, had since I was a child. There's different scripture and different philosophers and people that I've studied under that have given me a lot of really good points to back up this mantra of mine. So it's something that is truly a core belief, but when I put it into these layman's terms and I simply just say that everything is always working out for me, it really allows me to take a step back and look at whatever destruction is in front of me and just be like, somehow this is going to turn out and make things better for me, you know? I have like fun stories. Like this one time I totaled one of my cars and, and I ended up like walking away from that, getting like an absolutely amazing car to replace it. And like the car that I got to replace it was 10,000 times better than the beater that I had totaled first place, you know, and there's just so many different ways that we can look at that. Whether, I mean, come on, y'all, we've done that with men too. Like,
Like, why are you holding on to this when that's possible?
that relationship crashed and burned, and then you look back on it and you're like, dang, that was a beater.
Why?
And,
Why?
yeah, and you're like, now here I am with my knight in shining armor, and this is so much better. Like, what the heck was I thinking? Why was I even upset about losing that? So just writing out and reciting mantras, I kind of went in a little bit of tantrum with that, but it's really amazing. So, you know, there's different things like with my business, like there's different stuff that I write out. Like I say this thing, I'm like, I am attracting customers who need and appreciate the help that I'm able to offer them. You know, like things like that. I attract customers who are benefiting and healing in my place and who love it and are telling other people about the healing that they received here. And, you know, there's just different things. So whether you want to make it specific to maybe if you feel stressed about like a job that you have going on, or, you know, homeschooling your kids, like I am amazing at homeschooling my children, work on time. Like you got to come up with things that like address the immediate issue going on that helps you to shift your thought about it. And even if you feel like it's totally not true, like it will actually start to create that being a truth for you, you know? Because again, it's only not true because it's how we perceive it and how we look at it.
Right. And especially because, like, especially with kids, because they are loving it. They don't care, you know. Yeah. But you're doing the same by being like, I hate this. This is awful. I have to deal with these kids. Like,
Yep.
you know, I can't get anything done. Like, you know,
yeah,
you're doing the same thing. You're programming your mind either way. So you can choose to do, you know, to program positively or negatively.
Yep. So another thing that I do for me, I am, my personality type, I am totally driven by fun. So
what is your type?
This is like on the different color. Have you ever done the color code personality types? Okay, so it's like
I know them. That's like I'm obsessed with analyzing people.
Yeah, so this one is a little bit more simple. It's like colors. So there's 4 different colors: white, blue, red, and yellow. Yellow is like fun, like at the core of who you are. Like you're driven by fun. Blue is like you're driven by people, relationships. White, you're driven by peace, and red is you're goal oriented. So a lot of times people have like a mix of them, which most people have a mix of them, but my like biggest drive is fun. So for me, when I am feeling stressed, if I can do something that will make me laugh, it just totally takes away like whatever was going on. So
breaks it, right?
Yeah. So like if you I don't like encouraging people to get on their phones more, but during this time, if you can do something like if you have a game that you can, I mean, we went out and bought puzzles, like just if you can do something that is not Facebook, don't go on Facebook. So not like a social thing, not something where you're like interacting with other people, but something where you can just do something fun. I recently, this is so corny and I feel so stupid for even saying this, but like I just got TikTok on my phone.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I love, like, I used to dance when I was younger, so there's, like, so many good dance videos and there's, like, funny stuff, so me and my brother were, like, sending each other TikTok videos back and forth yesterday, and, like, we have such the same humor, so it just was really entertaining for us to do that, or, like, we're playing, like, Battleship with each other, like, on our phones and stuff, and
That's great.
yeah, so if you can do like take like 10 to 15 minutes and be like, I'm gonna veg out for 10 to 15 minutes doing something fun, doing something relaxing, doing something peaceful, doing something that is like a challenge to me, doing something that makes me feel connected to someone, like go hug your dog, go hug someone that you live with for like 15 minutes, just be like, we're gonna stop and we're just gonna sit here and hold each other and just be here for 5 to 15 minutes, or you know what I mean? Like
Like,
something.
my dog is so sick of me.
Your dog's like 15 minutes again.
You're like a little needy.
But seriously, if you can do something that like that fills like up that your core value like tank, the thing that drives you, the thing that makes you feel the most you, and just take 5 to 15 minutes to just veg out on it for a couple seconds and just say whatever. And remember, this is all to get you to stop going down the negative trail of negative thoughts.
I was the first 2 days after this whole thing happened, I was like, my family was like getting upset with me. They're like, you need to stop. I'm like, yeah, but I need to know everything. I want to know all the facts. I need to know all the details. I need to know what's going on so I can stress about it. And like, like we're even told like how much longer can you make your life, or how much taller can you make yourself by stressing?
Yep.
It really, it does the opposite. It actually makes your life shorter, which is what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another thing is I mean, do something for yourself, like positive, like exercise for 10 to 30 minutes, there's like little things like I used to, when I was going through a rough time and I was having these like throughout the day, just like attacks of anxiety, I had a couple different things that I would do. I would set a timer on my phone for 1 minute and I would like start counting and see how many squats I could do in a minute, and I would like count. So I'm like watching my timer, I'm counting, or sit-ups or something like that. But it was totally distracting. It was physical. It like made me engage my body, which puts those negative hormones that are being released to positive use. So it's also that's really good for that. But it's like totally distracting and just gets my mind off of it. And then you like kind of feel good about yourself because you did something really good for yourself, and then you can just reset. So that's something, taking a time out to pray, read scripture, read if you have like a really, really good like inspirational book, not like self-help book that's like beating you up and making you feel like junk, but like something that's positive, that you read it and you're like, oh my gosh, that's such an awesome thing that I can add to my life, right? Or even just meditating, just again like setting a timer like 5 to 15 minutes to do any of those activities, or like looking up a healthy recipe and like making a plan of like something healthy that you can cook or make for yourself that's like fun. So those are like a few different things. That's like everything that I have on my list of things that I would do, Yeah, sitting at the water.
I have a hard time with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I was in my time where it was severe for me, every single day without fail, it was like I had to do this. I had to wake up in the morning. First thing I would throw a podcast of like this inspirational podcast in my headphones, and I would walk down to the bay. I walk to the bay. I would walk down to the bay or like up to the beach, and I would just sit at the water and just practice like deep breathing while I was listening to this positive mindset podcast that I would listen to, and just really work on myself.
That sounds like a version of meditation I might actually be able to do. Yeah. You don't have to sit still. You don't have to like not think about things.
Yeah.
Those things I'm not good at.
I believe that that intentional focus meditation is better for you than clearing like
Completely.
yeah.
I agree.
It's helpful like in the beginning of your meditation to try to clear your thoughts for a period of time, but it's actually a lot more effective, safer, and beneficial because, I've looked into some different studies about like the whole emptying your mind for prolonged periods of time and how that can actually be somewhat detrimental in different ways. And it
Mhm.
all, I mean, that to me, like, is also based on some of my spiritual beliefs as
That's what
well.
I'm thinking,
Um,
yeah.
so it's different for everyone. Like that's my personal opinion. I don't like to do that to myself. I
Mhm.
or to myself. I just don't like to practice that way.
Right, right.
um, but I like to practice meditation in a way that I am releasing the negative thoughts, getting myself to a place of, not having a focus on anything for a short period of time, but then delving into and filling myself with the positive because I feel like it just rolls out throughout my day. And then I notice when different things come up, like those thoughts come up to the forefront of my mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful that I like thought about that this morning because it's like helping me right now, you know?
Meetings are so important, I think, and I know that I've noticed lately I've been doing, since we're in captivity here, I've been doing yoga online like 6 a.m. And the days that I do that, I can breathe better and my mind feels healthier, like I'm more stable. And, I've always tried to make my mornings be like spiritual, like prayer time, but the mixture of like the breathing, like the physical exertion, and then like prayer, like meditation, I think that that's such a great union of all different sides that you've discussed. But
Yeah.
also starting your day that way cuts out room for all the other stuff that'll just immediately come in. Like the option is either that or I wake up and start scrolling through Facebook.
Yeah.
And the difference of how my day plays out because of it is just crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, it's astronomical.
Yeah, it is. I have I have like a segment that I teach on about how to like intentionally mental reprogram yourself.
Right.
And it involves like, just taking advantage of the very first moments of the day and the very last moments of the day and intentionally plugging positive thought, positive mindset things into your mind and letting yourself wake up hearing that stuff and letting yourself fall asleep hearing that stuff because it really does train your
Yeah.
mind to go to those kind of thoughts. I mean, it's so crazy when you actually commit to like taking control of your thoughts and you actually commit to saying like I'm going to be intentional about training my mind to think more positively. It's really hard in the beginning and you can kind of like beat yourself up about it a little bit and you're like, darn it, why do I keep thinking so negatively?
Why am I so negative?
It's literally, I mean, I was a personal trainer. I worked, as a trainer full time for about 6 or 7 years. And it's something, and like if you have ever been involved in any kind of, exercise or learning any new skill, it's literally just like that. Like, I would get people that would come into the gym and they're like, how many weeks is it going to take until I build
Don't
muscle? I'm like, like it's not gonna take weeks. It's gonna take like I had a client that came to me and I was like, honestly, like it's gonna be about 3 years, like until you shift
Yeah.
from this into what you
Right.
wanna be. But when you get there, like it's gonna be lasting and so you start to see little improvements. Like there's days where I would have clients come in that had never done a push-up in their entire life and tried and like fell on their face and like sat there and cried, like broke down in tears because they were like so disappointed in themselves. And I'm like, and then it was like X amount of sessions later, like they're banging out like 10 push-ups. And I'm like, look at that, like it's so
Look what
crazy.
you're doing.
Yeah, it's the same thing with our mind. Like we have those moments where like we decide like, okay, I want to think positively, and then we're all stressed out and we're disappointed. We're like, darn it, like I can't help but think negatively. But then something will happen, and your
You're
first
building muscle.
response it'll
Mhm.
be positive, and you're like, look at me. Being a positive.
I'm losing my ever-loving mind over every little detail.
You're like,
And that's a good point too, is like setting like short-term attainable goals. Like it's good to have long-term big goals, but like it's also like disheartening when you're so far away from that goal, but having a small goal that you can start with, like 3 minutes in the morning of whatever this, whatever it takes, like that one thought or that one time in the day that you didn't get react negatively or allow the negative thoughts, like
Yeah.
having small obtainable goals, and that like every time you, just like they say, crossing something out on a list like helps reinforce like the serotonin or endorphins that you get from like doing something and completing it, and like moving forward. And I think that's really important too.
Yep.
Like you're not going to be the best teacher that they've ever had. Everyone's just trying to get through this. Like if everyone makes it out and survives, like maybe that's the goal.
Yeah. Yep.
Or if you can do things a little differently and go off schedule, but you had a moment of like really connecting with someone that day, then that's the goal.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know there's little things like it's been I've definitely had my days where I'm like rough on myself because I can totally be a workaholic. Welcome to the Northeast. Like I don't know how many times I can say that. I'm like, I don't know what it is that we're so ingrained with this like crazy, like you have to be successful and success means X, Y, and Z. But I definitely have had moments, during this time of like being quarantined and everything that we're experiencing right now where I've like sat back and I'm like, success isn't necessarily how much money I have in the bank. Success isn't always how much of this I'm doing or how much of that I'm doing. Like success is like I'm home with my husband and we are getting along like best friends. And that is, I mean, that's absolutely amazing. Because honest to God, the first day, I did not think it was going to be like that. Like literally the first day that we were in quarantine, like I had a conversation because he was home on my like work from home day. And
Right.
like his first day off from work because he works at the casino. So they shut down the first day he was off. It was my work from home day. And he's doing his thing that interfered with my thing. And I was like, I don't think this is going to work.
This was not part of the deal.
Yeah, I was like, but you're in my space messing up my jam, and I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, I don't know if I can do this.
I've honestly thought like that. I'm like, what would I do if someone was here?
Yeah.
Besides my dog, I mean, and even her, like we're like needing space from each other.
Yeah, but it's been really good, and we are just enjoying each other so much, and like I just want to share some positive stuff too. Like I have a girlfriend of mine that she's a single mom, and she was really worried about like having the kids home, and me and her were talking on FaceTime the other day, and she was like, I am having so much fun with my kids. Like, we're doing this, we're doing that. And I'm like, girl, that is amazing. She's like, I can't believe like how well she's like, they're working out with me and like we're doing projects together and like they got their little schoolwork and stuff. And like I have like, she's like, I'm on my computer and like they're over there doing their thing. And then we all decide to like play and she's like,
Day break. I mean, we don't usually get those at work, right?
yeah, she said that she made a jar and like one day a week they pick out of the jar and in the jar it's like all different holidays. So she's like, we do a holiday one day a week, whatever it is, like whether it's Christmas or Easter or St. Patty's Day or Halloween. And she's like, I pulled out a string of Christmas lights and we decorated for Christmas and we had Christmas the one day. And like, yeah, so I'm like, good. I'm happy that I don't have children at home with me, but I'm very happy that you
I'm glad you're not going to kill yours in the process.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm so glad that you're having a good time. And there's pieces of that where this could be an opportunity that does bring families together in a different way, and it makes us connect with people. Like my brother who's in the military in Idaho, and he's like so far from his family, and we don't always talk all the time. And like he and I are the same person. Like we were always so close. I swore on my life that like I would never have another man who was like closer to me than my brother, and it's not like, it is different. Like I'm definitely closer to my husband than I am my brother now. But like I know it's hard for him, like being out there, and this whole thing has made us really reconnect and like be intentional about spending time together, like even though it's virtually, but
Mhm.
yeah, so there are a lot of like positives. So I guess like the challenge is just try to find your positives and maybe like write them out. Maybe make a list of what they are or even what they could be. Like what could the positives be? Because like we're all trying to figure it out. So are you trying to figure out what could the negatives be or what could the
Right.
positives be?
So
So
true. Awesome. So where can people find you if they wanted to inquire about your services? We can tag it on below too.
yeah, so if you, I mean, if you are interested in nutritional coaching or, life coaching, I'm doing those things online. I'm actually offering free, like 30-minute like intro sessions. So if you want to do like a free session, you can hit me up on Facebook. And if you are interested in doing any of the stuff from the spa, Internal Harmony Wellness Center in Linwood. So we also have a Facebook page there too.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would love to just, I mean, I honestly enjoy talking people through things and, coaching and whatever, helping however I can. So yeah,
And we all need help right now.
we do. We all do, all of us.
For real.
We all need each other, and I think that that's something that
Mhm.
this is pulling out because, like, you and I wouldn't even be doing this, like,
Right.
maybe if this wasn't going on, like, who knows, and
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy because a lot of us, like, it has been a shift in perspective because even if you personally may not be susceptible or, like terrified like some of us are that this is going to hurt you, you still have to do what's best for everyone around you and love your neighbor, and how like it's kind of shifting like, okay, if you're not doing it for yourself, and like to see like all of New York City like on lockdown and just like taking it, really just doing this thing, like the solidarity really is impactful for us as a society because we were so split and divided before. And I think this has kind of like changed people's perspective, and it's uncomfortable at first, but then once you start to like allow yourself to grow in that way, like I just think there can be the results of that just blossoming can be so beautiful.
yeah, absolutely. I totally
Yeah.
agree. And that should be what we're focusing on, like,
Mhm.
that should be something that you just continuously go back to and,
Like, how can I be of service? Who can I help? Like, what can I do to help someone? And I think taking your mind off of yourself too. I know for me, like, if I start thinking about my own anxiety-driven thoughts and start thinking of like how I can be of service to someone else and help them, I think that really helps too. Just like the same as like going for a run, like just getting your mind off of yourself and out of there, and doing something productive and useful with it.
yeah.
Just going down the bunny hole.
Don't go down the bunny hole. It's not safe down there.
I'm gonna keep that one. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And I'm gonna tag your pages below. So if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to you directly. And I 100,000% suggest doing the colonic and the sunshine bed because it's amazing.
Yeah,
And also the sauna. I have my own little sauna here. I've been doing it every single day, and it's just amazing. It also makes me sit still for a minute and just
yeah.
chill.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, so awesome.
so nice.
Yeah.
And it helps too. You get like a little firmer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it detox the skin, man. It helps keep your skin youthful and radiant, and I need all that.
Undoing the damage. Well,
Yeah,
awesome. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. We will talk soon, and I hope that this has been a blessing to someone. I know it has for me, so thank you.
thanks for having me. It was fun.